Welcome to Day 11, the final closing day of the 44th Mill Valley Film Festival. I'd like to thank our sponsors, actually one sponsor and one individual. So Jackson Square Partners has been an amazing supporter of us for closing night for many, many years. And I'd like to thank Ken Broad for his involvement in this, his generosity, his many contributions to our board of directors, because he is one. And I'd also like to thank a member of our emeritus board and his family, the Christopher B. Smith family. And you all know Christopher well. We couldn't be more delighted to have French Dispatch as our closing night film. Wes Anderson has to be like the most creative person alive. It's a lesson in creativity and fun and joy and art. And we're really happy that we have one of the cast members with us today too, Stephen Park. Stephen has been in films and TV shows like Living Color, Do the Right Thing, Fargo, and we're just delighted again to have him with us today. My associate and esteemed associate, Zoe Elton.
Oh, no, not yours though.
Oh. We'll switch places.
If all else fails, turn the switch on. Thank you. Yeah, I'd just like to say, Stephen Park, welcome to the Mill Valley Film Festival. So great to have you here. Here, take a mic. Oh, you get. Wow. Yeah, we all get our own mics these days.
Oh,
we do.
Hello, hello.
Oh, and yours is on. It's even better.
Mine has a little shower cap. It's really pretty.
Yeah.
I'm so excited you're going to see this movie. This movie is so amazing, and I'm so excited for you. It's the kind of movie you need to see more than once because there's a lot. There's a lot in every frame, and in typical Wes Anderson fashion, it's just full of so many. It's like so much eye candy. It's just amazing. So very excited for you, and you know I've seen it a few times, and I still want to see it a few more times.
Still seeing more things?
Huh? Oh yeah, absolutely,
yeah?
absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it happens. It because he's so fast. Everything is always happening so fast. So, you know, you can't pause. So, you have to just you have to be very alert when you're watching this.
Did you have to be very alert when you were working with him as well?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he is not only is he extremely detail oriented. He works with people who are detail oriented.
And you are.
And I've become more detail-oriented after working with him. But yeah, he's very precise. And one of the things that he would do, as you'll see me and you'll see my hair looks different in this movie, but something that he enjoyed doing, he doesn't necessarily like hair and makeup people on the set because it kind of disrupts the flow. So he actually does hair. So he would come up to me before he would shoot, and he didn't want everything perfect, so he would like make my hair just be a tad out of place. So before he would go, he was like, and then action. So yeah.
So when you first heard about this project, did you hear about the character that you were being approached with, or the storyline of what the?
Yes,
yeah.
He gave me this my story. He didn't give me the entire script, so I knew my character and the story. Jeffrey Wright being the reporter in my story, and so I got to read my section at first, and then I got to read the rest. Once I was on set and got to know everybody, then he let me read the whole thing. And I also got to sit in on some of the editing, which was really cool.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Hold that thought. So, but I want to know, how did he describe the character to you?
Police chef.
Police
that was the
chef.
first thing. Yeah, it was a police chef. And
whose
and
name
it was
is
Lieutenant Nescaffier.
Lieutenant Nescaffier.
Yeah, and the first thing my wife said is, "Oh, it's like Nescafe."
Right. Except it's 3 syllables, right?
Yeah. So there's some kind of humor in it already.
Right.
And the fact that the town is called Ennui
Right.
So there's already something comedic there, and you know, it's what we call it. We call it, like when we're working with him, it's Westworld. So it's not necessarily reality. It's West reality. So you just go with it because he has your best interest at heart, and he wants you to have a good time. And I'm so thrilled that this is only being released in cinemas.
Yeah.
Because this is the kind of movie you want to see on the big screen with other people. So I'm glad it's not like, you know.
Because you actually shot it before the pandemic, right?
Yeah, it was shot in 2019.
And it was, the intention was that it was going to be at the Cannes Film Festival.
In 2020, yes.
In 2020, yeah.
So it was...
That's a weird waiting period,
Yeah,
right?
it was really weird, but it was worth the wait. So here we are.
I picked up... We are, you know, they're anxious to see it, but I have you mentioned the word symmetry in the context of Wes Anderson when we were just walking over. Knowing that the way that he shoots things is very symmetrical, how does that affect you as an actor? I mean, do you have to hit your marks, or?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like I said, everything, his frame it's like his painting. He's painting with set, like he just has brilliant designers. Adam Stockhausen, who does the production design, he's a genius. I mean, he's brilliant. And Milena Cananero, who does the wardrobe, also is so detail oriented. Like you can't even believe it. Just spending hours like, okay, no, this needs to be a little longer here, you know, and then. Yeah, just, you know, looking at it, and this could go on for hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like on set?
Yeah, just making sure that everything is perfect, and then sending pictures to Wes and making sure he's okay with it.
Right.
Yeah, and he is like the kind of patches that are on the uniform I'm wearing and everything. He is involved with everything. So I don't know how he does it. He's really amazing.
It's working on a lot of different levels, really, isn't it? And so you mentioned the design, and I hear there may be a way that we may, if we're in the right place at the right time, get to see some of the art behind this film.
In New York City, it's going to have a limited release on the 22nd and then a wide release on the 29th.
That's the film.
The movie. And on the Thursday the 21st, in the second story with Timothée Chalamet and Frances McDormand, there's a Café Le Sans Blague, which means no kidding. Right. And it's going to be opening in New York City in the Village on Bleecker Street. If anybody happens to be there, it's going to be a replica of the cafe that you're going to see in the movie. And it's already open in London. Not only is the cafe open in London, there's a whole display there of set pieces and wardrobe and pictures and these beautiful paintings that Sandro Kopp did that's attributed to Benicio del Toro's character in the movie. They're actually were painted by Sandro Kopp, who's an amazing artist, and they're abstract and they're huge. And Wes worked with him over a number of months, I think, in order to get exactly what Wes had in mind, because they're supposed to be portraits, but they're abstract, and Wes wanted something very specific. So he worked with Sandro over. Sandro started small, and then it just got bigger and bigger. So now these are, I don't want to give away too much, but they're huge and they're incredible.
Well, I love that there's a chance to see the art of the art of the art.
Not only that, there's like newsletters, the French Dispatch. You can, I think it's the FrenchDispatch.com. You can sign up for these newsletters of the French. They're the French Dispatch. It's kind of modeled after the New Yorker magazine. And so you can subscribe to these, issues.
I love it. I love it when the studios actually go along with what the talent wants to do.
It's amazing.
Really amazing.
I think Searchlight has been amazing in the marketing of this movie, and if you're following it on Instagram, like they're just releasing videos constantly as we get closer to opening, and they're the trailers, the little video. Clips that they're posting, they keep releasing new ones, and I'm like, it's incredible.
It is, and it's such a tease.
Yeah, totally.
So I think we should let them see the film.
Yes, please.
Stephen, thank you so much for being here. Have a great screening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. You'll take care of it. Come on.
Well, straight from the private dining room of the police commissioners, I'd like to welcome Lieutenant Chef Stephen Parks.
Hello. Did you like it? Awesome.
Please. Welcome to the Smith Raphael Film Center, Stephen.
Thank you. We walked in the perfect, right when I was on screen. We walked
know.
in. Yeah.
We planned it that way.
Oh, beautiful.
Well, as a comedian and an actor and working with great filmmakers in the past, you seem to now be embraced by the family of Wes Anderson.
Yeah, I have to say, when I finished working on this film, there was this it was like a feeling of almost like being anointed or something. It was so amazing to be part of his world. And one of the extraordinary things about the way Wes Anderson works is he usually finds a boutique hotel somewhere where it's a little isolated, and where the set, like a lot of the set for The French Dispatch was in an old felt factory, and one of the things that Angoulême, or that I don't know if it was Angoulême or one of the towns right next to Angoulême, was famous for these slippers that had these felt bottoms to them. And if you saw the prisoners in the second story, they were all wearing those. So when I arrived on and got in my room, there was a pair of these slippers in my room, like everybody. So we were all like walking around this hotel in these slippers. And so, you know, the first night, everybody, after shooting, everybody gets together to have a meal together in this hotel. And it's like everybody's, like production, the hair and makeup is in the hotel, and the second AD is usually at the front desk. And like every night, you know, depending on who's going to be working, it's just like a cavalcade of movie stars coming in, and you know, you're having dinner, like, oh my God, there's Bill Murray and there's Willem Dafoe, and you know, and next thing you know, it's like your friends, and it's like, what? I mean, it's like, it's mind blowing. But what's so wonderful about working with Wes is that he creates a sense of family, and so whatever kind of mind trip you might have been on when your mind is being blown by who you're having a meal with, it kind of dissolves, and then it just becomes like family. So it's a beautiful way of working, and I don't know of any other filmmaker who works this way. It's really such an honor and a privilege to be in his world.
Yeah, family is a good description. I noticed in YouTube, of course, that you just got back from working on a production principal photography with Wes's new film.
Yes.
And Bill Murray said it was barbecue night, and I'm really sorry I missed that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's a chef at this particular restaurant, and they're making some meal. I think Wes has something to do with it too. Whatever is being served there, but you know, barbecue night, they had a table and different kinds of meat. There's a lot of meat in Spain. I definitely have to go on some kind of diet.
Little cleanse, maybe.
Yeah, some cleanse.
But what's interesting about this film is you see Wes's passions for journalism, The New Yorker, and French cinema, and writers, and in your section, Jeffrey Wright, I presume, was based on James Baldwin.
One of the inspirations.
One of these, there wasn't. It's not, as you said, exactly James Baldwin,
Right.
an amalgam of different characters, but food as well. And
Right.
you are the police chef, police cooking.
Right. Right. And you know, I you know, he said that he wanted to work with me, and then he came up with this character, and the visual reference was this Japanese artist who lived in Paris. He was a contemporary of Picasso around that period, named Suguharu Fujita, who had this bowl cut, and so I had this hairpiece that was installed into my hair that I had to wear through the whole shoot. So like trying to wash my hair at night was always a challenge, and trying to keep it in. But it was the exact same haircut I had when I was a kid. And I had a picture of myself, and I showed it to Wes, and it was, here's an interesting side note. I had the honor of hanging out with director Bong Joon-ho the night of when he won the Oscars. And we were in Koreatown at this restaurant, and I was sitting next to him, and I told him, I was like, you know, I just made this film with Wes Anderson, and I showed him a picture of Nescaffier, and he said, oh, you look like my grandfather. And then he pulled up a picture of his grandfather, and sure enough, he's like the round glasses and the straight haircut, so it must have been a popular look at that time.
Yeah, and I heard that he has such, obviously you can see the attention to detail and the amazing creativity, but he actually did your hair as well, didn't he?
Yes, Wes is not crazy about having like hair and makeup on set. So once you get on set, it's kind of like Wes becomes your hairdresser. So before the take, he didn't want my hair like completely like straight. He wanted it a little like misshapen. So he would always kind of play around with my hair like this, make sure it was kind of sticking out. I don't know if you noticed this, but it's just sticking out. That's Wes. Wes did this to my hair, and then he would come back, and he does that with all the actors. I mean, he was just doing that in this latest film with Jason Schwartzman. Jason Schwartzman, he would come up there and he'd like mess up his hair, and then he's like, okay, and then he'd go back behind the camera. So he's very hands-on. He's so detail-oriented, and he sees everything that's happening in the frame. And so the position of the head, the way you move your head, the timing of the dialogue, everything is so precise. And everybody is so, it's so much fun. Like, we all know his style, and we are all trying to serve it up to him. So, you know, it's just like, one of the things Wes is famous for, at least among us, is like he'll do like 17, 20 takes of something, and then new ideas would show up. It's like, okay, let's do it this way. And then when you've done every possible iteration of the scene, he's like, one more for the pleasure. That's his famous thing, one more for the pleasure. And it's never one more, it's like at least 5 more. So he likes to do a lot of takes, and he shoots on film, you know, so.
And how long was the shoot for French Dispatch?
For me, it was about 3 weeks, I think. I was up there about 3 weeks. So, yeah, so I didn't get to see a lot of the people, like Benicio and Adrian were already gone, although I did, like I said, like the editing suite was right down from my room, so I would pass it every time I went to the dining area. And there were times when Wes would, invite me in, so I got to see them edit, which was such a thrill. And so I got to see Benicio and Adrian's some of their work in the editing process.
I was going to ask you about that. Of what it seemed to make sense he would film them by section, anthology style,
yeah,
as he made it, but also going back to. How did you first start working with him, or in particular, you know, this was not your first film, I understand, but does he give you the whole script? Does he just give you the role? I don't mean to imply that he's secretive, but he creates things, and he creates a universe, and we may not be living in that universe or his head.
Right.
What is that process like?
Well, it was something I like every film I do, I might have a different process, and in this particular movie, I went through the script that he gave me. I only had my story, but I combed through every image in my story, and I found images. I Googled images like stopwatch, like showgirls, and he sent me some pictures of what the town was going to look like. So I had pictures of Angoulême, pictures of that particular time period. So I created a vision board of the movie so that I could, before I got there, so I could have a sense of what the movie, what the world was. And I just had happened to see this chef on that TV show Chef's Table, and on the third season they highlighted a Korean Buddhist nun by the name of Jung Kwan, and she's a temple chef, and she cooked vegan food, and she imbued her food with such amazing kind of sense of love and mindfulness, and it was. If you ever get to see this episode, it's the first episode of season 3 on Chef's Table, and she's so amazing, and I was so inspired by her, and I decided that that was my inspiration for Nescaffier. Like, Nescaffier is coming from this place where he is, this is how he was. I saw him as a monk, really, like someone who lived alone. This was his life. There was also a part of him that, like, I could see him as like being a martial artist and somebody who was familiar with police life. So he was somebody who was, comfortable with the kind of militaristic lifestyle. Yet he was also somebody full of heart, and this is how he expressed himself through his food and designing his food in a way where you could be having a nice snack with one hand and shooting somebody with the other hand. So it was partly that was a huge inspiration for me, was this particular nun.
So in your section, you had Jeffrey Wright, and let me check my notes, you had
Willem Dafoe and
Edward Norton,
and Saoirse Ronan.
Yeah.
So it's such small parts, and yeah, like I was having. She was at dinner one night, and yeah, it's like just like these amazing actors coming in for an evening to shoot their little thing, and then they're gone, and just loving to be able to do whatever,
Yeah, the respect that actors have for him is amazing, and he seems like such a genuinely kind.
He is the
human being.
kindest person too. He's really a unicorn, Wes Anderson. He's so childlike, and he every once in a while is like, "Could I have some quiet on the set? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to raise my voice." And he's like apologizing for saying anything that might be remotely interpreted as aggressive or punitive or anything. He's such a he really. So that's why he creates an atmosphere on the set where you feel very safe and you feel very open to explore, and you have many opportunities to screw it up until you get it, so it's a great way to work. I know most actors enjoy the take after take after take to be able to just do it that way, because take 10, take 15 is when Wes will start to have other ideas, like, let's try it this way, or can you and then so he's working on timing, he's working on the position of your head, he's he told me this story about working with Benicio. I guess Benicio was tilting his head too much or something, and so he had to keep going like this to his head, like little tiny things like that. But it's, when you're familiar with his work, you see if somebody did that, that's just not a Wes Anderson thing. Wes Anderson is like, you move your head in a particular way. So it's a style, that he is so identified with now.
And it's just wonderful how the whole cast and the crew, they're there to support this vision of him. Tell me about working with the cameramen and the set designers.
Yeah, just amazing. Robert Yeoman has been his DP, I think, since Bottle Rocket, I believe, and Sanjay, who is. Sanjay Sami, I believe that's his last name. He's the key grip, and he's somebody who worked on. He started working on Darjeeling Limited. He lives in India, and now like Wes is completely devoted to him. And every camera movement you see in a Wes Anderson film, and there's many of them, it's so particularly Wes Anderson. That's Sanjay pushing the dolly. And it's not easy what he's doing, and he's so precise about it, and there's such a love connection between them. And there was a story about in Moonrise Kingdom, because that was shot in Rhode Island, that he wanted Sanjay to be there, but because Sanjay wasn't an American, there was all this problems of getting him to come, and they were not going to let him work on the film, and then, you know, Wes said, okay, then we can't shoot it in Rhode Island, and then there's Sanjay working in, you know, in Moonrise Kingdom. So yeah, so he's very, it's not so much loyalty to his crew, it's like this is the people he wants to work with, like Milena Cananera, who's the costume designer, Adam Stockhausen, who's the production designer. These are like the most brilliant people in the business, and they love working together, and they all have the same work ethic. And you know, Milena works around the clock. I don't know how she does it, but she will spend hours. There's a story about, I guess, I might have the movie wrong. I think it's Marie Antoinette. I think she worked on that. And Jason Schwartzman had an outfit that she was working on for days, apparently. And the outfit was just in a closet. Like, it was never seen. And she just worked. And
Sofia Coppola's film.
yes. But that's the kind of... that's what they're doing. I mean, you know, Wes finishes a day of shooting sometimes like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the evening, and then we get like, if I didn't work that day, I'll get a text from the second AD. Okay, they've just wrapped. Dinner is going to happen any minute, and then we all show up to the dining room, and then we all sit down, and all the actors are there, and then after we have our meal. Then he's back up answering emails, and then he's looking at the dailies from that day or the day before, and so he is just constantly working. And yeah, I've never witnessed that kind of work ethic. It's really incredible, and there's no. It's so, like, to see him directing is to see somebody who's experiencing joy, because he is so joyful, you know, when he's directing. He's just like, he's like laughing all the time. Like, it's his happy place, you know, when he's behind the camera. And but my God, everybody's working so hard, and I don't think they would be working that hard for every director like they would for Wes.
I don't think so. When you shot this, even though it was pre-pandemic, it was in a bubble, though, really, in a sense.
Yeah, in a sense.
You took over the whole town.
Yeah, and most, like, I think half the town is in the movie.
Isn't in the movie.
Yeah.
We could have had them all up here.
And there's a coffee table book of Wes Anderson's work, and there's one that's being made about the French Dispatch, where the writer, I think, interviewed like a lot of the extras, interviewed people in the town. So it's going to be kind of like a French Dispatch style thing, like all these profiles of everybody who was involved in the movie.
Well, yeah, and I understand that there is a French Dispatch.
Yes, there's a newsletter.
Online.
I think it's French. I think it's FrenchDispatch.com, where you can actually sign up for issues of this newsletter, where you'll get to see all this amazing artwork. You'll get to see stories about the making of the movie. And if you're on Instagram and following the French Dispatch or Searchlight or anybody kind of associated, like, Searchlight has done an amazing job of marketing this movie, I think. Like, they just are posting new clips, like, leading up to the opening of this movie. And whoever does the trailers for this movie is, I think, brilliant. I mean, they're just so well done. And the latest one that I just saw on Instagram is some behind the scenes of the, as well as clips from the movie, and you get to see Wes say, "One more for the pleasure."
And I understand with this newsletter that Bill Murray is the editor-in-chief.
Yes. Oh, is he? Yeah, he's so.
But
he's
yeah,
amazing.
I guess I would. I have to ask about Bill Murray, right?
Yeah.
You didn't? Did you get? Was that part of the film? Were you there when they were filming the scenes that Bill was in terms of the newspaper itself versus each individual story, the 3 different stories?
No, he did arrive while I was there, so I had dinner with him, and I was at the end of my. I had first met Bill Murray. He directed me in the second movie I ever made. My first movie I ever did was Do the Right Thing.
Right.
And then I did a movie called Quick Change, which Bill Murray directed with Howard Franklin. And so that's when I first met him. And so it was many years later, I ran him in a bookstore in LA, and then seeing him there. So that was kind of my third interaction with him. And I was supposed to leave on Sunday. It was a Friday. I had one day to do nothing. And he's like, you should go to Paris. And I'm like, well, what am I going to do for one day? I've never been to Paris. And I'm like, what are you going to do for one day? And he's like, no, but you should go. And then I went to Paris.
You had to go.
Yeah, I had to go. And then
How can you not go?
yeah. So and then the French Dispatch had its world premiere at the Cannes Film Festival. So I'm sure, I don't know if any of you have seen that meme of him and Timothée Chalamet and Wes and Tilda Swinton and Bill Murray, and they're all dressed completely differently, and it's become this meme. And then so anybody, if you just Google it, you'll see it's hilarious, because he wears whatever the hell he wants to wear. Bill, I don't know if anybody dresses him, but he's always like, he's got very interesting clothes, but I think he does not care about if you're supposed to have black tie, or I don't know if he cares about any of that stuff. He does what he wants to do.
We had a movie that he was in playing here a number of years ago, and somebody gave me his 800 number.
Oh.
So they said, if you want to get a hold of Bill, you have to call this 800 number and leave a message, and maybe his attorney will call you back.
Right.
He didn't call back.
Right. Well, he likes to carry around this Bluetooth speaker. So it was after the premiere of at Cannes, and and then we had dinner, and then it was like 3 a.m. or something, and we were upstairs, and my wife and I were going to our room, and Bill Murray's in the hallway playing music on his speaker, and then all of a sudden we were having this party in the hallway, and Tilda Swinton and Sandro and Tilda's daughter and it was just, and then Mathieu Amalric was there, and so we're all dancing in the hallway in France.
And you got paid for this?
No, I didn't get paid for that, but I didn't pull my wallet out once. So.
And I also understand you were talking about what a great job Searchlight was doing on the marketing.
Yeah.
They're doing some special installations that are
Yes, they have the Les Sans blog, the cafe, they're doing a mock-up of it in the Village in New York City. That's going to open the day before the release on the 22nd. So Thursday the 21st, if you're in New York City, it's on Bleecker and Christopher. It's called the Whalebone, and they're going to turn it into the cafe. And it's already in London. If anybody's going to London, they have not only the cafe, but they have a display of the different sets that they transported there. They have costumes, pictures. They have all the paintings that Benicio del Toro's character. They're all there now in London. And then because there was an opening of it, and then there was a 3-piece string, playing music in front of these amazing paintings, and my chef's outfit is hanging there, and all those little portable forks are all organized there. So it's really a very cool display they put there.
And I understand the attention to detail. Like, you could probably view this, as you've said, I don't know if you said it here or we said it over dinner, you could view this film
Yeah, don't you
countless
feel that way?
times.
Like, there's just too much to take in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just way too much. And I think he really enjoys doing that. It's going to be the same thing with this next movie. It's a lot of visual information happening.
So other than the Spanish barbecue, can you say anything about your experience?
No, I don't know what I'm supposed to say, quite honestly. So I just keep my mouth shut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think Bill was even supposed to talk about the barbecue. You know?
Yeah, probably. And he did. Where were we? Oh no, yeah, it was at the London Film Festival where he said the title of the movie, and I don't think he was supposed to do that.
You said what?
The title of this next movie.
Oh.
So you can Google it if you want.
But you're not talking
I'm not
about
going to say it.
Well, we're just so thrilled to have this film here.
Yeah.
When is the film going to be opening?
October 22nd is I think the limited release and the 29th will be wide release.
Well, so you'll have the ability to see this film many times and to tell your friends about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just so thrilled you were able to come out here.
I'm so thrilled to be here. Thank you for inviting
I think
me.
you had one day from coming from Europe and then coming here.
Yeah.
So we really appreciate you coming and
it was my
with
pleasure.
the film. And we expect to see you next time with this untitled film as well.
Yes. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I hope you all enjoyed it. It was a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. And by the way, we'll see you next year.